All right, so Ava is going to read the expository text right now. Before she does, we're going to answer some pre-reading questions as she's been doing the whole time. But unfortunately, the phone had cut out, so we're going to answer those concept pre-reading questions now, okay? What are the Great Plains?
I think it's like how people farmed back then, like the early days.
Okay, what is a homesteader?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. What is sod?
I don't know what that is either.
Okay. What is a natural disaster?
A natural disaster is something that Mother Nature does, like when it's like tornadoes and stuff that just happens on its own.
Okay. All right, so now I'm going to have you read this story to me again, okay? All right. You can begin whenever you're ready.
Farming on the Great Plains. In the 1800s, the Great Plains was a vast region of dry grassland. People did not think it would ever make good farmland. As a result, the Great Plains attracted very few pioneers. The United States government decided to try to encourage people to move to the Great Plains. In 1862, Congress passed the Homestead Act. Their act offered free land to pioneers willing to start new farms. If you were a man over the age of 21, a woman whose husband had died, or the head of a family, you could claim 160 acres of land. You had to pay a small registration fee, usually about $10. You also had to farm your land and live on it for 5 years. When the land was yours, settlers who claimed land thought this law was called homesteaders. It was not easy to establish a farm on the Great Plains. The grasses or sod had thick, tangled roots. The roots reached several inches down into the soil. Before planting crops, farmers had to dig through their sod. Great Plains farmers soon became known as sod busters. After ripping up the sod, most homesteaders used it to build houses. There were few trees or rocks, so sod was a useful building material. Houses built from blocks of sod stayed cool in the summer. They were warm in the winter and were fireproof. Unfortunately for the homesteaders, the sod walls were softened home to bugs, mice, and snakes. The homesteaders faced many obstacles such as harsh weather conditions and deadly natural disasters. Spring often brought tornadoes, hailstorms, and flooding. Summers would mean scorching heat and frequent droughts. In fall, the prairie grass dried and settlers had to watch for prairie fires. Winter brought bitter cold along with ice storms and blizzards. Farmers also faced their dreaded grasshopper. In the mid-1870s, millions of grasshoppers swarmed across the Great Plains. They darkened the sky and covered the ground in layers up to 6 inches high. The insects ate everything in their path: crops, grass, even fences, and axe handles.
Okay, excellent job. Okay. Tell me as much as you can about what you just read.
It was talking about the Great Plains and how not that many people wanted to be there because you couldn't really do anything. And so the government was telling people they could live there for free as long as like they could buy as much land, but they had to like pay $10 for it, like their registration fee. And when they did that, they had to build their own houses, they had to make new farms, and it was hard for them because in the summer droughts would come, and in the winter it would be bitter and cold, and it would bring disasters like floods, tornadoes, and grasshoppers would come, and they would eat everything in their path. So like the crops would be damaged, fences, anything that they could get their hands on. But people would make their house out of sod that they dig up. I don't exactly know what that is, but it was a material that they used to make their houses that came from the ground, that they dug up so that they could make their farms.
Anything else?
No.
Let me just make sure the phone is still recording so we don't lose anything else. Okay, we're good. Okay, now I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What is the passage mainly about?
The farming plains that people would like grow the crops on, that the government would tell them that they could live there for free because no one really wanted to live there.
So what would you say was mainly about them?
The Great Plains,
Anything else?
how people grew their crops in like the winter and summer.
Okay. Why did the Homestead Act attract pioneers to the Great Plains?
Because they didn't really have to pay anything, they just had to pay registration fee of $10, so it was less expensive.
How long did farmers have to live on the land before it became theirs?
5 years.
Why did Great Plains farmers become known as sod busters?
Because they would dig it up just to make their homes, and they would dig it up so they could plant their crops.
Give one reason why sod was a good material for building houses.
Because it made it warm in the winters, and it was still able to be cool in the summer. And it was kind of just a material that they could find around that would keep up the house.
Name one obstacle that homesteaders faced in the spring.
Droughts,
Anything else?
droughts, floods, and the grasshoppers.
Excellent. What obstacle did homesteaders face in the fall?
When it started to get bitter, and they couldn't really get the crops because it would kind of like get cold, and it was warm, but after a while when they would get natural disasters, it would get colder.
Why would the grasshoppers cause a lot of hardship to the farmers?
Because they wanted to eat the crops and things that they found.
Excellent job. Excellent job, Miss Ava. Thank you so much, and thank you for your 2 hours of patience since that video turned off on us.
That's okay.
Thank you, thank you.